Welcome to Seattle Sports Union. Today we will be talking about the Houston Astros, and here is my good friend Eric Martin, our expert on the Astros and the Tigers. But we're going to talk about the Astros today. How you doing, Eric?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Doing great. Welcome, and let's get started. Got a question for you as that Detroit experience that you have behind you. What do you think Justin Verlander has meant for the Astros? Is he the reason they won the World Series? Is he the reason for Mariner fans to be terrified next year?
I would say no to both of those, but I will say the trade between the Tigers and the Mariners simultaneously signaled two things. It officially kicked off Detroit's rebuild, and it officially ended Houston's. Not that they were rebuilding, but
right.
they had a few years where they were just kind of.
But they're all in right now.
They are all in right now,
yeah.
And that's. I think it. As a Tigers fan, we knew the window had closed after David Price and those guys were traded in 2016. And so the trade of Justin Verlander was kind of bittersweet because it was like, yeah, it's over, but also we kind of knew this dude's going to go down here and get a ring. And that's exactly what he did.
Well, so you also got a chance to monitor closely last year's playoffs because there's a reason for it. There's one of your own that's gone down there and wanted to help them get their ring. But that's the starting pitching, and we know that the Astros have starting pitching for days. I want to ask you about their bullpen. I was reading an article, and it mentioned Will Harris, Chris Stavinsky, Tony Sipp, and Ken Giles as reasons why the Astros can make it back to the World Series this year. What have you seen out of these guys?
So just that group that you mentioned.
The bullpen, yeah.
The bullpen. My problem with that is Sipp is the only lefty in that group. They're stacked with right-handed pitching in the rotation and the bullpen, but they only got one lefty. So I think that for me is their weakness. They're not the best bullpen in major leagues. They're not even the best bullpen, in my opinion, in the West.
So you don't think it's cracked up to be?
No. I'm not saying that. I mean, they're solid, but I don't think they're as deep as some of the other teams in the division are. Okay, as far as bullpen, just bullpen.
So no need to sell them, but no need to buy into the hype either.
Right. I mean, they'll be fine with what they have. If they don't make another move the rest of the off season and spring training, they're going to be fine. I don't think they need to do anything, but it would be nice to kind of diversify and get some left-handed pitching in there.
Right on. Derek Fisher, not the old Los Angeles Laker point guard,
right?
But Derek Fisher, the guy who scored the winning run.
The rookie.
Mm-hmm. They wouldn't shut up about him in the playoffs last year. Am I supposed to buy?
I'm going to tell you why they wouldn't shut up. Yeah, you should. Yeah, this guy is definitely a buy, and I'm going to tell you why. His entire baseball career, he has excelled at whatever level he was playing at. He excelled in high school. He excelled at Virginia, where he played college ball. The Astros fast-tracked him pretty much through the minors in 2.5 years. And then his first game in the majors last June, when they called him up, he gets a hit, he pulls 2 walks, and then bangs out a homer. Then he scores the winning run in Game 5 of the World Series. And he's done all these really awesome things in his time as a major league player. I think this guy is one to watch.
So the bright lights and the pressure of October, he didn't wilt, and he's been the golden boy, and he is the golden boy for a good reason. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sold on him as an outfielder, but we'll see how that plays out. I mean, because he's playing left instead of center or right, so that's a little bit easier. We'll see.
For our purple and gold fans out there, the Husky fans, we had a wide receiver named Dante Pettis, and the third base coach is a former Detroit Tiger and the father of Dante Pettis, the wide receiver from UW,
Yep.
Gary Pettis. I was really shocked when I read that in the newspaper last year. I don't know why I'm shocked. It just seems like it's a small world. Gary Pettis as a coach, what do you think? And do you have any memories of him back when you were a kid?
I do not, because Gary Pettis, he wasn't really a hitter by anybody's standards of hitting. I don't even think he hit the Mendoza line for a career average. For those who don't know, what is it, 213?
I think it's 200. I've always heard 200.
200. Okay, well, so maybe he did hit Mendoza.
Let's go to Nathan Savage in the corner. What's the Mendoza line, Nathan?
I'll get right back to you.
Okay,
I think
thank
it's 200 as well.
Okay, so if he barely cleared Mendoza, but that's not where Gary Pettis's value comes in. He was nobody's lights out hitter, but he won 5 Gold Gloves in 11 seasons. So defensively, that's where he comes in. Now you put him as your third base coach. I'm sure you know, third base will bury anybody who can't play it defensively. No matter how well you hit,
you'll get exposed.
You will get exposed, right. So I think that's a great place for him to be. I think he's in a great situation with the Astros, and yeah, good on him. And I'm not surprised that his kid was a wide receiver. No, he wasn't a wide receiver.
Yeah, he was a wide receiver and punt returner.
Okay, so here's the thing with that. Not only is his son was a wide receiver with the Huskies, but his nephew was also
Austin Pettis.
Austin Pettis was a wide receiver with the Rams and the Chargers.
That's right. That's right.
So it kind of runs in the blood.
We get a definition on the Mendoza line.
200, and then Pettis also was like with Kellen Moore at Boise State. He was like a stud there too. So.
That was weird. Earthquake in Seattle.
All right. There we go.
Sorry about that, guys. Apparently, the ghost of Mario Mendoza was not happy that we were talking about him and has haunted our studio.
Sorry, Mario. Sorry you were such a bad hitter.
Maybe the 213 was like his lifetime average or something. I don't know.
Something. Yeah.
I'm sure some of you guys out there will comment below and let us know. Let's talk about coaches. Let's talk about managers, actually. A.J. Hinch, former catcher, if I remember right.
Also a former Tiger.
Was he really?
Yeah, he played one season in Detroit, and it just happened to be the impossibly, woefully bad 2003 119 loss season.
The Tigers had 119 losses?
Oh, yeah. They won the last 5 games of the 03 season to avoid being the worst team in American League history. It's a true story. No. Check that. They are the worst team in American League history, but not the worst team in baseball, which was the 120 loss 69 Mets.
Cleveland Spiders up there somewhere? Don't know. Anyway, A.J. Hinch he's 43, but he already has a decade of experience. Mm-hmm. Is that where this game is going? I'm looking around, and I'm seeing young coaches everywhere.
I don't think it's young coaches versus old coaches. It's not good players versus not so good players that make better managers. I think in A.J. Hinch's case in particular, he set himself up for a post-player career in baseball. This guy went to the winter meetings and that kind of thing and made those as a player and made those contacts because he knew that he was in for however many years he played, and he knew that his time as a player was drawing nigh, and he still loved the game, and he still wanted to be a part of the game. So he made the connections, and his first post-playing gig was manager of minor league operations with Arizona, and then he went to he worked with the Padres for a little bit, and then the Diamondbacks.
Came back as a manager.
Yeah. So Houston is his second managerial position.
Sure.
So he's seasoned.
But I still think of 43 as
that's young. That's
young.
Yeah.
And then I see 43 as a manager. That might be your first gig. You don't have
right
10 years of.
and again, I think that's just him setting himself up for what he wanted to do. I think that the people that he spoke with saw that he had a really good baseball mind, a baseball brain. You know, he wasn't, you know, the bench coach for the, you know, Fruit League.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Exactly. He wasn't.
He wasn't on the back of the bus coaching, you know, senior league baseball, and somebody rescued him. You know, he set himself up. He was like, hey, I'm still playing, but I know this isn't going to last forever. How can I transition? So I think that was just a thing that he personally chose to do. And we are seeing managers getting young. You know, we're not seeing
You
these.
say Alex Cora.
Yeah.
Is now manager. I mean, there were 4 first-time managers, I think, last year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was.
Brad, yeah.
Anyway, it's crazy. Catcher. So AJ Hinch was a catcher, and I want to ask you about catchers because that's usually the weakest offensive position.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a look at McCann and Gaddis. If you combine their stats together, they bat 250. Not great. 250 is not great, but you'll take that every day of the week from a catcher.
Sure.
30 home runs and 100 RBI.
And you'll take that every day of the week from anybody.
I'll take that from me. Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's not their weakness. Do they have a weakness?
Again, the only thing I can go back to as a weakness for this team is their depth in bullpen. And, you know, their bullpen is pretty good, pretty solid, but they just, you know, they're not a very deep bullpen. They don't have any lefties. They're pretty inconsistent. You look at Giles, who got knocked around in the postseason last year, I think something like 12 runs on 10 hits in 7 2/3 innings or something like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, but I mean, if that's your only weakness, top to bottom,
Right.
well, then you go out and win yourself a World Series with that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so
Because even with what they have in their bullpen, the bullpen's good. I still don't think it's the best I still don't even think it's the best in the West. We'll get to that. But that would be their weakness for me.
who wins this first base job? There seems to be a glut. There's J.D. Davis, Tyler White, and A.J. Reed. I want any of those for the Mariners. Give me one.
Take
Give
all
me-
of them, because
You don't like
listen. No, I'm saying I would love them in Detroit, but but here's the thing: as far as first base, Uriel isn't going anywhere, or Yuri Gurriel isn't going anywhere. I mean, yeah, he had the thing in the World Series where he did the thing with what was it, Yu Darvish,
Yeah.
and so he suspended the first 5 games of the year, but I mean, he's still knocked in some like 4 or 5 homers in the World Series. He had a real solid regular season. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. Now, let's say for the future, I'll give that to White, just because he seems to have the most upside to me.
Okay. But so for fantasy, don't go after one of these young bucks.
No,
Not right
stick
now.
with if you have to get the Astros first baseman, that guy will be Yuri Gurriel. That's how that's going.
Astros won the World Series. Everybody knows that. If you don't, go back to reading the dictionary or whatever it is you
If
do.
you don't know that and you're watching this, then
You're watching.
learn something.
How far are the Mariners from the Astros? You're telling everything you're telling me. The Astros are not regressing. They're not going anywhere.
No, the Astros got better. They went out and got Garrett Cole. They got a full season of a recharged Justin Verlander, and they still got Dallas Keuchel, and they still got their whole group. Listen, how far are the Mariners? Well, the Mariners did go out and make some improvements. Let's talk about. I think the Mariners have the best bullpen in the division.
Really?
Because the Mariners, really, they have the most depth that they've had in quite a few seasons. I think that I still think the Mariners are 23 games back. Because they didn't do enough in the offseason. They made some moves, but I still don't think they did enough to close that gap. I think that
Well, how does this gap get closed? I mean, you just have to wait till every Astro gets old and dies or something?
Well, I mean, things happen all the time. You know, people get hurt and, you know, things happen. And there are still a bunch of free agents out there. The Mariners could still make some moves and close that gap to, say, 17, 18 games back. To be honest with you, I don't think that Houston's going to win the division by 21 games this year. But it's still going to be a runaway. I think the Mariners should just kind of do what they can to position themselves to have meaningful games in September.
Right.
And, you know, yeah, the wild card, it's a thing. And the Mariners, you know, 3 out of the past 4 seasons have been there, but a game or two short.
This is obviously a dumb question, but I mean, like, how do you think the Mariners can get there? Is it just basically wild card, set your targets on that, and ignore
with the staff that they have now? Yeah, I mean, I don't see anybody taking this division from Houston.
Okay, so Houston's making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
What do they need to do to make the playoffs? Keep doing what they're doing.
Well, here's the thing: what Houston needs to be very mindful of is the dreaded World Series hangover. Now, Dallas Keuchel just said yesterday, and I quote, "We're not the Cubs."
Oh,
Yeah, right? Stuck 'em.
there's a cheap shot.
Right, but we'll see. Maybe they are the Cubs. But I don't see them being the Cubs. I think Houston is just going to kind of roll on. And at the end of it, I see another rematch between the Indians and the Astros for the ALCS.
How do the Astros miss the playoffs? What would be? I mean, does a meteor land on Tropicana?
If World War III starts
Field,
before the trade deadline, then yes, they won't make the playoffs. Other than that, they're getting it. I mean, this is just a no-brainer gimme thing. I just
2 years ago, freaking Altuve was injured, and they kept winning games.
Exactly.
Well, what are we supposed to do? I mean,
Exactly. And now Altuve's coming off of an AL MVP season.
Yep.
So I just don't see these guys taking a dub. I mean, and even if they do, who's coming to get them? I mean, maybe the Angels.
Well, so outside the AL West, got the Indians.
Oh yeah, it's just listen. There's 4 teams, maybe 5 if you include the Twins, but we got to see how they start. But there's 4 teams that really matter in the AL this year: the Yankees, the Sox, the Red Sox, the Indians, and the Astros.
But I don't think that the Yankees and the Red Sox are the complete team.
Well, the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to beat each other up. That's they're going to cancel each other out of that.
Well, Yankees have no pitching.
Yankees have no pitching, but they got a lot of everything else.
They have,
and they got a lot younger too.
They have,
without anybody even noticing, because you know, a few years ago we were all sad because it was Jeter's last year, and they were saying then that the Yankees were old and needed to reboot. Well, the Yankees
they did it pretty damn fast.
Yeah, they did it real fast. Well, when you got Steinbrenner money, you can do that.
What's the Astros record this year? What do you think? Precognition.
I'm going to say 104 and 58. That puts them at 3 games better than last year. And they got significantly better than last year. But things happen, this, that, and the other thing. I say at the end of the season, they're looking 104 and 58.
What do you like the most about the Astros?
You know, as a fan of baseball, I really don't see anything that's not to like. You look at this team. Last year, they led all of baseball in runs, RBI, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, team average, hits. I mean, there was just nothing that they could not do.
Is there anything to not like about the Astros?
Houston.
Just the city of Houston. Okay. Well, I want to thank.
I've been to Houston. I'm not crazy about it.
I better end this podcast real fast. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us once again. That was our pre-show for this season, the 2018 season. And I want to thank you, Eric Martin, for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Go
My-
Tigers!
My name is Abraham, and thank you guys for joining us. We'll have more previews for the AL West coming on YouTube very soon. Leave your comments below. Check out our website, seattlesportsunion.com. As well, check us out on Twitter at Seattle Sports U. Have a great day, everybody.